Chris Broussard. Chris, what are you hearing about all of this?
Well, this morning I have texted with David Griffin, and he said that a lot of his comments or the comments in this article were taken out of context. He said that the misery that he felt, in Cleveland came from the constant media scrutiny that, he went through being the GM for LeBron's teams. He also said that he is going to address this situation publicly later today. So I guess we'll get some type of statement or something from David Griffin later. As far as my reaction to the article, the way it was written, the thing that surprised me the most was the way it was put into this context, whether Griffin agrees with it or not. The way it was written, there was a great lack of appreciation for what LeBron James did for David Griffin. And that's really what surprised me the most. It came off like David Griffin would have been happier building, if LeBron had never come to Cleveland, and he builds the team around Kyrie Irving, and it's all about, can we make the playoffs? Can we get to the second round? Then can we become a contender in the conference? Maybe can we get to the finals? Like, he would have been happier doing that and never winning the championship or getting to the finals than what he had with LeBron, which was 3 straight trips to the NBA Finals, the only championship in any major sport in the last 52 years for the city of Cleveland, Ohio. So that really surprised me the most. Look, Griff is a good GM. Nobody disputes that. But had LeBron never gone to Cleveland, and Griff had nothing to do with that. He likes Griff, but Griff had absolutely nothing to do with LeBron choosing to go back to the Cavaliers. If LeBron doesn't go back there and Griff builds up the team, the likelihood is that they probably never become a contender. They may never even make the playoffs. Griff eventually gets fired, and then he's not the sought-after and highly respected GM that he is now, and probably isn't the GM of the New Orleans Pelicans with what looks like a bright future right now. So that is what struck me. It just seemed like there was a real lack of appreciation, at least the way it was written, from David Griffin for what LeBron had done for him.
There is no lack of context, no out of context when misery is included in the discussion. And I agree with you, Chris, is that it seems to me he would have been much happier building this thing because, like he said, he used the word inorganic. Well, take your butt to Whole Foods, and they got all the organic food you want. He's like, this inorganic. So he would have been perfectly fine, because this is what I gather. And tell me if you agree with me, Chris. I gather, let me build it around Kyrie. If we get to the playoffs, that's fine and good. But if we never win a championship, I'm going to get the credit for building this. We get to the championship with LeBron James, I don't get none of the credit because everybody's saying this LeBron did this. LeBron put these pieces together. He only had to I wanted some younger guys, and we had to sign Mike Miller. We had to sign Kendrick Perkins. So it seems to me he's very unappreciative of the championship that I do not believe he would have got without LeBron. The other opportunities that he got because of LeBron, it seems to me that he wants to take shots from a distance now that he has a new position. The time to take the shot is when you're working for NBA TV. That's when you say, guys, look, I'm up here. Man, it was miserable. I mean, LeBron James signing one-year contracts, the constantly, the browbeating and yada, yada, yada. I had a terrible time. You don't wait till you go get you another job and you think you're sitting pretty. That, don't forget, LeBron James did, give you a nice recommendation, but that's neither here nor there. Don't forget where you came from, David Griffin. But you know what? I believe LeBron, he says ether's coming. I believe LeBron's going to take the high road. LeBron's door has always been open to players, coaches, and general managers. Name a player that didn't get paid that was around LeBron. Look at JR. Look at Tristan Thompson. Look at Kevin Love. Everything these guys do. Kevin Durant ain't have no media boardroom. That's a direct copy of Uninterrupted. Now all of a sudden these guys got media companies. Kevin Durant, bench of 35. Steph Curry, LeBron keeps his doors open, but everybody loves to take shots at the guy. That's all right. Your day coming. It's going to be a day of reckoning. When we hold up that trophy next year,
What
we got
trophy?
something for you.
For participation?
You know what? Larry O'Brien, in the words of Shaq, you remember Chris, when Shaq won that trophy and he had that rap, he like, how my butt tastes, y'all? How it tastes.
Yeah. Is that what LeBron's going to say? Probably not.
Yep. I would be right there with you.
Chris Broussard, you are telling me that David Griffin is going to crumble and walk it all back. He's going to backtrack on everything he said in this article. Is that where we're heading?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Skip, because one thing I wasn't surprised at with the article was the candidness that Griffin showed. Griff is a very candid guy. He speaks his mind. And so it's going to be interesting to see what he says. But, yeah, it appears that he's going to certainly walk some of it back. And if I may, Skip, quickly, but I know you want to get to your point. And you'll remember this because you were around those Bulls teams with Michael Jordan. Wasn't Jerry Krause very resentful that he never got credit for what he felt was building around Jordan and his contributions to those championship teams? Like, he didn't get credit for bringing in a Tony Kukoc and the other pieces that he put
Ron
around
Harper.
Michael to win the championships. It was kind of like Jordan it was Jordan and the Jordanaires, right?
Yep.
And when Jordan finally left with Phil Jackson, Krause was kind of relieved and happy that he was going to get to build a team the way he wanted to. And we've seen how that's worked out the last 20 years.
Remember, Krause pushed them all out the back door because he made it clear he was going to go hire Tim Floyd from Iowa State to replace the great Phil Jackson. And Michael said, I go where my coach goes, and if he's going out the door, I'm going out the door. And Michael stood by his word and, quote, unquote, retired for 3 years before he went to Washington. So it was, Krause got his shot, and then what happened? Nothing happened. Okay, so back to these remarks. It's hard for me to see how you could take out of context a remark that LeBron got all the credit and none of the blame. I mean, that just stands by itself. It's hard to take out of context the fact that LeBron isn't the same animal, as he used the word, when it comes to winning. He wasn't as driven as he came to L.A. last year as he was in Cleveland to win a championship for his home area. Once it was won, David Griffin is telling the Sports Illustrated writer that was all there was. And by the way, LeBron validated that last year in some remarks he made at Boston when he said, this is all just icing on the cake. I've done all I set out to do in the NBA. So I think he pretty much validated my premise that LeBron came to L.A. more to chase Michael B. Jordan in Hollywood than Michael Jordan on the basketball court. So I thought everything rang true in the article, except I was shocked that David Griffin actually said it. Is it possible, Chris, because you and I know this sports writing business, is it possible that Griff just thought he was off the record on some of this, and the SI writer, a young writer, just went on the record with some things that he thought were off the record?
Well, it's always possible. I mean, obviously, you don't want to accuse the writer of doing that. But, you know, when you write a magazine piece, it's a lot different than writing a newspaper article. Mm-hmm. You know, newspaper article, you don't spend as much time with them. A magazine piece, you really spend a lot of time with the person you're writing about. And it was an article about David Griffin. Mm-hmm. It really wasn't about, you're supposed to be about LeBron. It was about David Griffin. And so who knows how much time they spent together. But I know when I would write magazine articles, there would be times where the conversation would morph into something that really had nothing to do with, you know, the actual article.
Sure.
And sometimes the person would say stuff that was controversial and that would be great for the article. And I would say, hey, is that on the record? Can I use that? Because it got to a place where, you know, we're just kind of talking about all types of stuff. It's possible that happened. I think what's also possible, Skip, is that you know how it is for an article. I think Griffin. Look, Griffin and LeBron have had a good relationship to the point where a few weeks ago, Griffin asked LeBron. Yeah, Griffin asked LeBron to tweet out something about his wife's vineyard,
and he did.
And LeBron did it. He's got 43 million followers, so that's obviously big publicity.
It's the end of that.
So they've had a good relationship. It's possible, I think, that in the midst of the interview, Griffin said some favorable things about LeBron, and those just didn't make the article.
Maybe.
You know, maybe the writer went for the controversial quotes, and if that's what he was going for, he certainly got it.
But let me ask you a question. Let's be all the way 100. Sports Illustrated writing an article by David Griffin. Who reading that article? David Griffin says the article said he was miserable with LeBron James. Who's reading that article now? You guys in the writing biz. How does that work, Chris Broussard and Skip Bayless?
I got one. I'll read that article because of Zion Williamson. How about that? I got that for you because that's what I want to hear about right now.
But see, Skip Bayless. Stop it. Go ahead, Chris.
To your point, Skip, what else, another thing that surprised me about the article was how Griff talked about the pressure and having to win, all the time, and how he didn't like how when he found out LeBron was coming, he fell on his floor in his office and cried. My thing is this. If Griff does a good job in New Orleans, and let's say Zion becomes what you and others think he can be, Skip, that pressure is coming. Yeah. Oh, it's a honeymoon period right now, but if Zion is this transcendent superstar, if the ex-Lakers, Lonzo and Ingram and these guys play well, then that pressure is coming for Griff. And you're going to have to, if not win championships, certainly compete for those championships.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.